Hello and welcome to another episode of Cake Fight Presents The Making of Kaleidoscope. I'm writer, director, producer Paige Feldman, and this week, as every week, I am taking you inside the process of making my debut feature film, step by step, idea to premiere in real time. And this week I have hit a super important milestone for prewriting, and that is finishing the challenge I set for myself of having my characters answer each of the 36 questions that lead to love, which comes from a New York Times Modern Love Section article from 2015. And I have written vignettes between these characters, scenes in screenplay format, for each of these questions. I have over 100 pages of scenes from this. And this is all pre-writing. None of this is going in the final script, but it's really important to help me find my characters' voices so I can maybe start outlining. It's a little scary, but I think I'm almost ready. But before we get into all that, I am going to shoot you over to my video diaries for the final 6 questions, questions 31 through 36. And when we come back, let's talk next steps. But for now, roll the credits and let's get into it. So it is Friday, October 8th, and we are at a bit of a Dutch angle, because why not? And I just answered question 31, which is, tell your partner something you already like about them. Let's talk about the word already here. That's doing a lot of work. I'm just imagining a scenario in which you're answering these questions with someone you barely know, and you've talked about your feelings about your mother and all of these other weird couples counseling questions, and only now, at question 31, are you getting into something you like about this person. Whew, that's a lot to unpack. Luckily, with Lee and Jonah, I'm living in a universe where they know each other already. Jonah tells Lee that he really likes her bitchiness, effectively, how she's cold and how she will say what she's thinking, and even if she doesn't say it, it reads on her face. And that's something that he admires because as he is the younger brother, or his younger brother is a Disney Channel star, I mean, he gets a lot of people, I'm sure, asking him for favors. And he knows that Lee is not looking for anything from him. And as for what Lee gives to Jonah, it's just that she likes a smile, which is a very earnest and simple compliment. And I think that kind of compliment speaks to intimacy, and something that I found about Lee is that she has a very soft and simple side to her, a side that wants to just be happy and be in the moment, but there's a lot of armor up, and this question has clarified that. So that's what I'm getting from question 31. Also really glad that I have never tried to use these questions as a way to get to know someone in order all at once. It's a lot. Hello, it is Saturday, October 9th, and I just answered question 32, which is, what, if anything, is too serious to be joked about? And this is a great question for Jonah because he's a comedian, and I got into with him a lot of punching up and punching down, and very briefly, the concept of punching up and punching down is one where if you are telling a joke about a topic that people might consider sensitive, you want to make sure that your joke is directed at the people with the most power in the situation, ideally someone who is more powerful than you personally are. And then punching down would be making the subject of the joke, making fun of people who have less power in a certain situation, or less power than you as a person do. And there's a lot of resources on that. If you're interested, please leave a comment and I can
drop some links and answer questions about it. But for now, I'll move on, because the thing that I'm finding as I'm getting towards the home stretch is that I don't have much new discovery. It's more just being able to articulate qualities that I have imbued these characters with and really finding patterns. So the pattern today is that Lee is driven by fear. Her answer to this question was all about how she doesn't want to tell a joke because of what if it's not funny? What if nobody laughs? And if they do laugh, what if nobody laughs at the next joke she tells? And Jonah is he's free-spirited. He's driven by passion. And when something bothers him, he tries to pretend that it doesn't. It's almost like he has this toxic positivity inside him. I you know what, I said I was good at articulating it, but I'm not right now. Suffice to say, I am really getting a feel for both of these characters, their voices, and what motivates them underneath, what their essence is. And I'm pretty sure that these motivating factors are at odds with each other, which is going to make really great conflict and really hot, steamy, passionate romance once we get to it. So that is question 32. And I'll be back tomorrow for question 33. I don't know what the eyebrow thing was.
Hey, so it is Sunday, October 10th, and I just completed 2 more questions of these 36 because, let's face it, running a little behind, and I definitely want to finish for this Wednesday's video. So I just answered questions 33 and 34. Question 33, and I'm going to read because these are both really long. Question 33. If you were to die this evening with no opportunity to communicate with anyone, what would you most regret not having told someone, and why haven't you told them yet? Now, as some of you have noted, Lee and Jonah are both very emotionally closed off, and when I had them answer this question, that definitely played a factor because neither of them had anything that they would want to tell anyone that they haven't told them yet. For Lee, it's because her regrets are all internal, all about what she does to block pursuing her passions and pursuing her goals. And for Jonah, the things that he would want to say to people, the things he doesn't tell people, are things that would hurt their feelings. And he has a lot of emotions about how his parents favored his younger brother, Disney Channel star kid, as opposed to helping him be the best person he could be, despite the fact that he didn't have any natural talent that was making millions of dollars. So neither of them had an answer to this question, and it didn't feel right to force it. I think the only problem here is that I don't know what the answer to that question might be for them. So maybe that's something to think about, or maybe it's just a personality trait where the things that they regret have nothing to do with what they tell people or what they don't. And maybe the fact that they're emotionally closed off and don't tell people things is going to be a point of contention for the film. It's a great question for the purpose of character. And it's also one of the less bonkers questions towards the end of this list. Question 34, similarly, is a question I would actually ask somebody if I was having a conversation with them, and that is, your house containing everything you own catches fire. After saving your loved ones and pets, you have time to safely make a final dash to save any one item. What would it be, and why? So Jonah's answer is very easy. He has a little notebook that he carries around with him all the time that he uses to write down any ideas for jokes that he has. And so he would absolutely go back into a house to save that. And Lee mentions, hey, don't you always have that on you? Wouldn't you not have to save it? And he says that when he gets home, he puts it in a dish by his keys because he doesn't need it when he's at home. He can write things down easily. And also he likes to keep everything in its place because his brain is a mess. And he wants to make sure that his environment is at least clean if his mind can't be. And for Lee, she would save
a camera that her grandfather willed to her. It's an old Nikon. It has film in it. He and her grandmother traveled the world and took pictures. Some of those pictures ended up in galleries, and this is the camera that Lee learned to take pictures on. And Lee's her inner desires to become a travel photographer, to quit the law. And again, that's the thing that she wishes she would have done if she, in question 33, if you were to die tonight, what thing would you regret? And that's what she would regret, is not pursuing that. And so she would take this camera, because her digital one is expensive but easy to replace. This one, it takes film and it has memories, and this is where she took her first picture. She learned about focus and composition and light and shadow and all manner of art things. So it's sentimental value, and she tells this whole story to Jonah pretty much unprompted, and he thanks her for sharing, and he recognizes what a big deal it is that she let him in on such a big part of her life, and a part that she doesn't share with a lot of people. So that's questions 33 and 34. Oh, and one more thing. So this shirt, I love this shirt. It's Baby Freddy Krueger, and it says, "Always follow your dreams. Always follow your dreams." I think it's pretty hilarious. It is Monday, October 11th, and I just finished answering question 35. After this, just one more left. But this question 35 is, who out of your entire family, if they were to die, would you find their death the most disturbing? And you know what, this isn't a couples counseling question, so hooray for that, but it's a weird question. It just brings to mind like true crime podcasts or CSI or Bones or other crime investigation shows because of the word disturbing. So I'm imagining, dismemberment and things, and not just, oh, that would be rough if that person died. But also, who are you talking about all this with? Regardless. Jonah's answer is that he would find it most disturbing if his brother Zach died, the Disney Channel star, and he says that it's because that suddenly his life would be like Jim Belushi's must have been like after John died, where you're just a pale imitation of your sibling, and everyone thinks about them when they see you, including his parents, and it's a whole sob story, and Lee calls him on it. Lee says, you are obsessed with your brother, you're obsessed with what his fame means, and you're not living for yourself, and the only way that you will be able to be successful on your own is if you just let yourself be yourself. She has a really nice rant that's much more articulate than what I just said, which is strange because I wrote it. And then Lee just hates this question. She doesn't want to think about death. She does find it disturbing. And she says that the person who she would find the most disturbing if they died was her baby niece, who is 3, so not like toddler niece. And Jonah goes back to question 33 and says, that question about what's too serious to joke about? Well, I'm not against jokes about babies dying, but I mean, maybe that falls into that category. So we got some resolution there. That's nice. As I said yesterday, I'm finding these questions less instructive now. I feel like it's good that this exercise is coming to a close. I think I've gleaned almost all I can from it. But we will see tomorrow what the future holds with question 36, the end. So it is Tuesday, October 12th, and Kirk here, and I have just answered question 36. He's been sitting on my desk this whole time, and so he helped. Question 36 is a long one. It is, share a personal problem and ask your partner's advice on how he or she might handle it. Also, ask your partner to reflect back to you how you seem to be feeling about the problem you have chosen. So, this is the last question, which is exciting. Oh, Kirk has decided to investigate the tripod. Cool. Hi, buddy. So, this last question is, again, in the grand tradition of these end questions, couples counseling-y, especially the reflection part. And
it was hard to answer because it was so in-depth to ask about a problem. So I got a little uncreative. Lee asked Jonah how she should manage to... Oh, bye, Kirk. Lee asked Jonah how she should manage to do her photography while also keeping up her job at the law firm. She wants to have it all, and every answer that Jonah gave her, she fired back with she has to keep up appearances of a certain sort. So Jonah reflected back that she doesn't seem like she wants to try. And then Jonah asked Lee how he could get out of his brother's shadow, even though he works for him. And Lee tells him to quit being your brother's assistant. And Jonah says, but it pays well and it's a flexible job and I can do my comedy. And Lee reflects the same thing. I think you don't want to try. I like the ending of this scene because it gives me something to think about as I go into probably outlining. It tells me that Lee and Jonah, on a base level, are both very afraid of what's going to happen if they shift their status quo. But the only thing that's going to make them happy is if they shake up their status quo. And that commonality, I think, plays really well into, or will play really well into, the time loop elements that I'm going to be playing with in this film. Especially given the themes that I know I'm going to be exploring there. I'm going to keep those quiet just for now. It's question 36. I have about 107 pages of dialogue. I ended with fade to black. I've finished this exercise. It's taken me so long. It's kind of surreal and awesome. I'm sure I've learned something from this, so I'm gonna think about that, and then I'll get back to you in a bit, but what you're gonna see is me just transitioning right over to my my conclusions. So there you have it. Those are the 36 questions that lead to love. The final 6, I've now answered all of them in script form as my characters, found out a lot about them, their relationships, and hopefully found their voices. So these last 6 questions, and really the last 4 questions especially, starting with question 33, I feel like it's not that they weren't necessary, but I was learning less and less as time went on, and that's, I think, a great thing. So it reminded me of this brainstorming technique that I use sometimes when I'm stuck on an idea for a story, can't think of the thing that should go into a plot hole to fill it, or can't think of a joke or something interesting for the characters to do, a good place for them to be. I do this thing where I take a piece of notebook paper, like I always say, I love the feel of pen on paper. The tactile sensation really helps me think. And I number a list from 1 to 20 on paper. And then I have to sit down and I come up with 20 ideas to answer the question that I have. And I write the question at the top of the sheet of paper. And the first 5 or so are usually pretty cliche. But no idea is a bad idea in brainstorming, so I write them down. And then the last 5 are usually so far out of left field that they're not even in the stadium anymore. But those middle 10, that's kind of where some magic happens. There's ideas that I haven't necessarily thought of before. I let myself go out into left field, but like stay on the playing surface and find ideas that really make sense for the uniqueness of the story, but also aren't so far out there that they're going to be distracting, and not so cliche that they don't feel authentic or original. And the beginning of this exercise where I thought, oh, well, I kind of feel like I understand these people. This is great. I'm getting some stuff out there. I don't think that their characters were quite fully formed yet, but it felt good. I like writing. I like writing dialogue. I like writing relationships. It was great. And then the very last ones, they weren't so far out of left field. It was just, I knew where the playing surface was. I knew where the boundaries were. I knew where the foul lines were, out of bounds, etc. And so I was just playing the game at that point. I was answering questions in their voices, and learning new things, of course, about them, because those questions were things I hadn't contemplated before. I mean, who would the most disturbing death. Anyway, I hadn't thought of those things before, so I had some answers, but on a deeper level, these characters weren't giving me new information. But that middle section where I kept saying, oh, I'm feeling closer now, or oh, that's an interesting conflict, or all of these questions and answers, these are things that I'm going to be able to take into the next part of the writing process. I also, though, don't think I would have stopped at question 32 if I had known what I know now, because there's a certain confidence that comes from going through this whole exercise and not coming out with questions. And I had a lot to say after answering questions 33 and 34 on Sunday, and I think this is relevant here, so I'm just gonna whoosh on over there, and then I'll be right back. As far as writing goes, I'm finding it very easy to write these scenes. I have a flow with these characters. I know their voices. Lee makes statements and is very concise, and Jonah, he doesn't ask questions, but he has sort of a casual, oh, I mean, you know, isn't that what we all do? Like, they're questions, but it's very offhand, like trying to normalize his own thoughts. And these kinds of verbal tics are things that I spend a lot of time searching for, and now I've written over 100 pages of dialogue through these 34 questions. That's basically a script. And so, I mean, the amazing thing about this exercise is that I am finding things out about the characters. I'm finding their voices before I even write one scene of the actual script. And so, fingers crossed, this rewrite process, once I get there, obviously I haven't even written an outline yet, the rewrite process will be easy, and I'll have a script that I love, or at least know that I will love, even in the first draft. All right, we're back. And the confidence that I gained, like I said, from answering these questions, from just sinking into voices like I would after writing a whole script, is phenomenal. So I'm really glad I did this exercise. But now that it's over, I kind of don't know what to do. I feel like maybe I should do... Part of me wants to do more pre-writing, more exercises, more things to get to know the characters and figure out the plot. But I could do that. But if I want to actually make a movie, I need to take steps towards writing the actual script. So that means I think it's time to outline. That's a scary thought. The reason it's scary is because I've tried to outline before. Like I said several episodes ago, before I started these 36 questions, I had a consultation with David Wapple where I went through this outline thing I had created where I had a list of things that I wanted to include in the story. And none of it felt like it could fit together. And David reminded me that the center of any good romantic comedy are the characters and their relationship. And now that I have that figured out, I have to go back to this scary list of events and things that maybe I want to happen and turn it into actual plot and make an outline. It's really daunting because while I know a lot more about the characters, those lists of things are still just there. And I'm not sure what to do with them. But I want to make a movie, and I've written scripts before, and I've made movies before. Short ones, but I've made movies before. I know I can do it. I just need to suck it up and look at these lists and do it with the knowledge that Lee and Jonah are people now, as much as characters can be who are on a page, but they're people now who can help me guide this story. So next week, I'm not sure what I'll have for you. It might be an outline. It might be something else. I am recording How to Fall in Love the Hard Way. I have a table read on Friday. I'm recording over the weekend and during the week. So it might be a tiny video just basically saying, hey guys, here's my terrible list. that's just an index card that has, it's my outline for what I'm saying right now, actually. I really like outlining. But we'll find out. Like I've said from the beginning, this is from idea to premiere in real time. So sometimes I'll have a good idea of what I want to talk about, and others, like now, it's going to be fly by the seat of my pants because that's how I'm doing all of this work in the first place. All right, so I guess that's the end of our video. If you found this useful, please hit that like button. And if you want to keep updated on where I am in this journey and want to be on this ride with me, please hit subscribe. In the comment section, let me know if there's anything you want to know about answering these questions, if there's anything you want me to cover, or if there's a question that really spoke to you. I would love to hear from you. I try to respond to every comment, and I really appreciate all of you who are taking the time to watch this and interact. It really makes this journey of filmmaking, which can be a super lonely process, feel a lot less lonely. So I appreciate you, and tune in next week when who knows what's gonna happen. Thanks so much for watching again, and I will see you then. Bye.